A star golfer just crashed out of the Cognizant Classic in the most stunning, heartbreaking way possible, and the golf world is in absolute shock trying to process what just happened. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not to this player, not at this event, not after everything we just witnessed. 1 minute he looked safe, comfortable, cruising into the weekend. The next minute, the leaderboard updated, and his name disappeared completely. What went catastrophically wrong in the final holes? Why are fans calling this the most brutal missed cut of the entire season? And how did one of golf's biggest names go from weekend contender to early flight home in a span of 30 devastating minutes? Let's be brutally honest about the pressure cooker that was Friday afternoon at PGA National in Palm Beach Gardens. The cut line at the Cognizant Classic wasn't just moving, it was torturing players in real time, bouncing between even par and 1 over, creating chaos and panic across the entire field. At 4:30 p.m. Eastern, it sat at 1 over par. Data golf projections suggested it would settle back at even by day's end. But in that moment, with dozens of players still on the course grinding through their rounds, nobody felt safe. One shot was the difference between weekend opportunity and immediate elimination. And right in the middle of that chaos stood one of the tournament's biggest drawing cards, a player who entered the week with massive expectations and local support. Brooks Koepka, 5-time major champion, West Palm Beach native playing basically in his backyard, was fighting for his tournament life. And what happened over his final 7 holes Friday afternoon has left fans absolutely stunned and questioning whether something fundamental is broken in his game right now. Thursday set up the disaster perfectly. Koepka opened with a brutal 3 over 74, immediately putting himself in serious danger of missing the cut for the second time in 3 tournaments since rejoining the PGA Tour. The round looked uncomfortable from start to finish. His iron play was off. His putting stroke looked tentative and uncertain. The confidence that once made him the most intimidating player on tour seemed completely absent. And the whispers started immediately. Is Brooks struggling to adjust back to PGA Tour golf after his LIV stint? Is his body breaking down? Is the pressure of expectations crushing him? Friday morning brought hope and what looked like a complete turnaround. Koepka came out firing, birdieing 3 of his first 4 holes and going 5 under on the front 9. The putter that looked ice cold Thursday suddenly caught fire. His body language shifted completely. This was vintage Brooks, the major champion who flips a switch and dominates when it matters most. By the turn, he'd climbed to 2 under par for the tournament, safely inside the projected cut line with 9 holes to play. If you're shocked by what happened next, smash that like button and subscribe. Because this collapse gets even more devastating, and then everything fell apart in the most spectacular and heartbreaking fashion imaginable. Starting on the 10th hole, Koepka's round completely unraveled. A bogey on 11, another on 13. Suddenly that comfortable 2 under cushion was gone, replaced by even par, and the sickening realization that he was right back on the cut line with the number still moving. The pressure that he'd seemed to shed on the front 9 came roaring back with crushing intensity. But the real disaster came on the par 3 15th hole, and what happened there has fans still replaying the footage trying to understand how it went so wrong so fast. Koepka's tee shot found the bunker, a difficult but manageable position that tour pros escape from successfully thousands of times per season. But his bunker shot came out fat, barely advancing onto the green and leaving him a long, treacherous putt for par. The putt never had a chance, sliding past the hole and leaving him a nerve-wracking 3-footer coming back, and he missed it. Brooks Koepka, one of the most mentally tough players of his generation, a 5-time major champion who's made countless pressure putts when everything was on the line, missed a 3-footer that he makes 99 times out of 100. Double bogey! The gallery around the green went silent. Koepka's caddy looked away. And just like that, Brooks was 1 over par for the tournament with 3 holes to play and the cut line sitting exactly where he didn't want it to be. The 16th hole brought no relief. A push drive found trouble, leading to another scrambling bogey that dropped him to 2 over par. Now he wasn't just on the wrong side of the cut line, he was in genuine danger of missing by multiple shots with only 2 holes remaining to save himself. The body language told the entire story. Shoulders slumped, pace slowed. The fight that defined his entire career seemed to drain out of him in real time. Koepka managed pars on 17 and 18, but the damage was catastrophically done. He finished at 2 over par for the tournament, missing the cut by what looked like 2 shots once the field completed their rounds and the number settled at even par. For the second time in 3 PGA Tour starts since his return from LIV Golf, Brooks Koepka was going home early, watching the weekend from his couch instead of competing for a title in his hometown. The immediate reaction was shock mixed with genuine concern. This isn't just any player struggling. This is Brooks Koepka, a player who defined an entire era of major championship dominance, who never seemed to crack under pressure, who built a reputation on delivering when it mattered most. Watching him collapse on Friday at PGA National felt wrong, like witnessing something that violated the natural order of professional golf. Social media absolutely exploded with reactions ranging from sympathy to brutal criticism. Some fans defended Brooks, pointing to the difficulty of readjusting to PGA Tour golf after time on LIV and suggesting he just needs more reps to find his rhythm. Others were merciless, saying the missed cut exposed that his game had deteriorated during his LIV stint and questioning whether he could ever return to elite form. But here's what makes this missed cut so much more significant and troubling than just one bad week. It's part of a pattern that's becoming impossible to ignore. Since returning to the PGA Tour, Brooks has shown flashes of brilliance, followed by complete breakdowns. The consistency that once defined his game has vanished, replaced by wild volatility that sees him birdieing 3 of 4 holes 1 minute and making double bogey from a greenside bunker the next. Golf analysts immediately started dissecting what's changed. Some pointed to his putting stroke, which looks different mechanically than it did during his dominant years. Others focused on his iron play, suggesting his ball striking isn't as sharp as it needs to be to compete on challenging PGA Tour setups. But the most concerning analysis focused on his mental approach, with multiple commentators suggesting that Brooks looks like a player who's lost confidence in his ability to execute under pressure. The financial implications are significant too. Missing cuts means missing prize money and losing FedEx Cup points that determine season-long positioning and playoff qualification. For a player of Koepka's stature, those details shouldn't matter given his career earnings and major championship exemptions, but they matter psychologically because they're tangible proof that things aren't working the way they used to. Behind the scenes, sources close to Koepka's camp describe him as frustrated but determined to figure out what's going wrong. He's reportedly been working extensively with coaches and trainers, trying to identify technical issues and rebuild the consistency that made him dominant. But the Cognizant Classic collapse suggests those fixes haven't taken hold yet, and the pressure of expectations might be making things worse rather than better. What makes Friday's missed cut even more painful is the context of where it happened. PGA National in West Palm Beach is Brooks Koepka's home course, the place where he finished tied for second in 2019, the layout he knows better than almost anyone in the field. If there's anywhere he should feel comfortable and confident, it's here. The fact that he missed the cut on his home track in front of local fans who came specifically to watch him makes the failure sting that much worse. The bigger question hanging over everything now is whether this is a temporary struggle or something more permanent. Is Brooks Koepka going through a rough adjustment period that he'll eventually overcome? Or has something fundamental changed in his game that won't be easily fixed? The answer will determine whether we're watching a temporary setback or the beginning of a prolonged decline for one of golf's most decorated champions. Brooks Koepka just missed the cut at the Cognizant Classic in the most stunning fashion imaginable, and fans are absolutely right to be shocked. This wasn't just a bad week. This was a collapse that exposed vulnerabilities nobody knew existed in one of golf's mentally toughest competitors. And until Brooks figures out how to stop these devastating breakdowns, every tournament he enters will carry the same uncomfortable question. Is this the week he rediscovers his form, or is this the new reality for a champion whose best days might be permanently behind him?